What is up, everybody? It is Fighting for Overtime, the live version. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. I know I did. The weather was great. Everything was popping. Everything was good. Again, Fighting for Overtime. You know the drill. The YouTube page. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. If you're watching on the Tony Cotillo page, Tony Cotillo Show, as always, make sure you like and subscribe there too. It's a little separate because, again, I'm going to be fully transparent, like I tell you guys all the time. The way I am on the Tony Cotillo Show, there's a lot of different things: sports topics, sports betting, fantasy. So again, it's kind of like a home base. But if you just want to use sports stories, it's right there. Scan a QR code. As always, right there. Follow the pod. Just had a great podcast episode with Heidi Smith, talking about adversity over 140 years of women's sports. She had some great ideas and concepts and stories that really will blow your mind about female abuse, the way their hormones work when it comes to sports, the way they can combat injuries. And listen, let's be honest, the adversity they deal with today, whether it be young, old, doesn't matter, they still deal with it, right? So I wanted to do this episode, and I got a bunch of episodes to do from the story. This is the softball saga that just keeps on growing and keeps on growing. I don't know what else to say about it, but it does. It just keeps on growing. And the funny thing is, I did the episode last week and had a great response. And I will just say this: I do these because I want to bring to everybody not only realistic views, not only real stories, but also a platform that where there's no judgment, meaning a platform where you can speak out, a platform where you can share your stories, whether you want to do it anonymously or you want to be heard. Right. That's what this is all about. Because I feel like over the years is what I've learned throughout this entire journey is too many people have to keep their mouths shut. Too many people. And it's because they're fearful. So think about that. It's so crazy. Like I'm going to be doing an episode based on a conversation I had with a specific person for over an hour over Labor Day weekend, and it was a great conversation. And it was based on the Southampton softball story. Right. However, it turned into such a great conversation and brought up so many different things. Not only was she giving her side, not only was she venting, okay, and I get it out of frustration because again, this is for the kids, and that's the thing that's being missed throughout this entire story. But what it was she said a couple things that really hit home, and I'm going to do a whole episode about. But one of them was being fearful. Being fearful. If I speak out, will my kid be banned? If I speak out, will my kid listen? I've lived through it. I was the speak out guy. I was, and I will always be the speak out guy. So my kids, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, they suffered. However, the best part about it is was I taught them to have a big set of balls. Okay, I really did. And I said, listen, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I don't hide behind doors. I don't hide behind computers. I don't hide behind phones. I go out there and I speak. And whether you like it or not, I really don't care. At the end of the day, at least nobody's going to be able to say, man, I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder what he's really saying behind my back. Now I'm going to say it to you. You're probably not going to like it sometimes, but I'm going to be real and I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to let you know how I feel. And unfortunately, right now, we're in a society where parents cannot do that. And it sucks. You should be the biggest advocate for your kid at any time. You should be their biggest advocate. And what's going on right now within our own township, in other townships, nationally, locally, in the city, in the burbs, is you can't be that advocate. You can be, right? But people think they can't be because they're feared. They're fearful that maybe my kid won't make a team now. Maybe my kid will be left off. Maybe my kid will be banished. Like, how do we live like that? How do we live in a society like that? This is what youth sports has become, and it sucks. And I hate hearing these stories. On a positive note, what I love about these stories is it opens us all up, right? It opens us all up. And it goes back to the moniker that I continue to say on this program and why I started this podcast was, listen, we're not going to change it, right? We're not going to change the spiral that youth sports has become. I just sat over the weekend, was talking to my wife, was like, can you imagine? Like, we thought it was bad back then. We thought it was bad back. It is 25 times worse now. 25 times. And I'm not bullshitting. 25 times worse. I cannot believe the cattiness. I cannot believe the egos. I can't believe everything that is going on. And again, I've had my email has been blowing up with it's insane. And listen, and I hate it, but I love it. I hate it because I hate hearing the stories because it sucks. But I love it because it's just shining another light on what's really happening. Stop living in the dark, people. This kind of stuff is happening, right? I'm not saying you can't have a positive experience. What I'm saying is we never bring up the negative experiences. And maybe some of those negative experiences can help the future generations. I have cyberbullying stories in my inbox. I have money stolen, thousands of dollars being withheld, stories in my mailbox, kids being told they're faking injuries from respectable coaches. Like it's insane to me. I can't believe it. I really can't. But it continues to go. It continues to spiral. Okay. So I want to bring up before I get, because you know how I get crazy and I get very opinionated and I start going off. But again, two things. Number one, if you have a youth sports story, okay, I say this all the time. If you have a youth sports story, let me know. If you want to share it, you could share it with your name, without your name. I don't care. I'm not here to point fingers or what I am. I'm here to tell stories. I'm here to tell emotional stories, good and bad. Whether somebody was fighting through injury and they had a mental health struggle, right? I'm here to tell that story. You know, maybe somebody was really run through the mud. Unfortunately, maybe it all came crashing down. I'm here to share it. Maybe there's a great story. I got a couple great stories, injuries, battling back. But the thing is, whatever it is, just understand this is a no judgment zone. It's a place to vent and to honestly just let your frustrations out. I'm not a coach anymore. I do not have kids in the Centennial School District anymore. Okay. So if you are a local parent who wants to tell a story, I have no skin in the game anymore. Zero. And trust me, some of those coaches, they want nothing to do with me. So again, you're not going to get any brownie points by telling me stories. Okay. However, you're going to get the real side of the stories. And I will say this, and I will say this. I say this on a stack of Bibles, man. I will say this over and over again. The stories that I will tell from a personal reflection standpoint that happened to me personally and my kids personally, they are 100% real. Take me to the highest degree wherever you want. They are real. So I am going to talk about them. So if you are a person, and again, I will not name drop, but I will give you a nickname and people will understand who that person is. It's a real story. If you have a problem with it, then honestly, you're a part of the problem. That means you're guilty. Okay. If you have a problem with that, means you're guilty because the stories of the self-reflection stories are the stuff that happened to me. I lived it. I dealt with it. Okay. I dealt with the downfall. I dealt with the fallout. Okay. So I'm damn sure I'm going to talk about it. Okay. I'm going to talk about it. But I also want to talk about the stories that people give me. And one of those stories that I'm going to bring up again is the power struggle that parents have right now saying, do we stick up or do we stay silent? Do we advocate for our child or do we sit back? Right? And not listen, not sit back because you want them to be strong and you want them to find their own way. No, sit back. That's a great reason to sit back. Okay. I 100% agree with that. However, if you're sitting back because you're afraid to open your mouth because the big bad softball coach or the big bad soccer coach, he might, oh my God, he might not play your kid now. I mean, it happens. It happens. I know people specifically that stay away from specific programs because they know just because there's a personal vendetta between them and the coach or the staff or the school, they already know their kid's screwed. And that sucks. That's where you're not a normal human being. Okay. If you can't get past a personal interaction, or if you hold a personal vendetta against younger kids, you got a problem. Like, again, I'll tell the full story one day, but when my 10-year-old showed up for a soccer game at Southampton Soccer and they kicked him off the field and told him he was no longer welcome because they had a problem with me, no longer welcome. No longer welcome. My kid, right? A program that I built for 3 years. So he's no longer welcome. In the spring season, which I paid for an entire year anyway, because I didn't get nothing for free, right? I'm not saying that you're supposed to say, don't get nothing for free unless you're on the board, which is why board members stay on there for 40 years. Okay. So somehow, some way they get all this stuff for free. But my whole point is my kid was kicked off the field. Yeah, because somebody had a problem with me. Think about that. So you completely gutted a 10-year-old psyche, and you messed with his mental health, all because you had an ego problem or you had a vendetta against a parent or against an adult. You couldn't speak up about it. You couldn't say nothing about it. You took it down the kid, and that's the problem nowadays. Everybody's taking down these kids, man. These kids are the indirect recipient of everything that's wrong in youth sports, and it sucks. It does. We got to do better, people. We got to do better. Now, let me bring you the update, okay? The update, softball coach 2008 disappears. So when we did this episode, okay, which was last week, I put this person, whoever it is, on blast, good or bad, just because they were wrong. This review was wrong. If I am wrong, I will say I'm wrong. People will tell you that. If I am wrong, I will say I'm wrong. Okay. But if you're going to accuse me of something, right? If you are, you better have the shit to back it up, because I'm going to call you out when it's not right. And this was not right. So let's bring it up again. Okay. This was the review. Okay. This was the review that I had. Let me take this off the screen for you so you can see. This was the review. Okay. Coach softball 2008. This is the review that they gave me. This was after listening to the SGC story, the Southampton softball story, for what's going on. And there's many legs to that. We'll get into that another day. Okay. But this is what came out of it. Podcast host had a person basically saying, I was spreading lies. I refused people to come on to talk. There's 2 chairs behind me. There's a visual screen here. I've never, ever told anybody they can't come on and talk. Ever. Okay, so that's lie number 1. After getting messages, lie number 2. I didn't get any messages. I got 1. And emails, another lie, because I got 1. Okay, and I talked to that person for over an hour. Not the same person from this weekend, another person prior to that. Okay, so this was completely false. Now, I know people start talking, and I know this got spread around. So I called this person. I don't know who coached softball 2008 is, but they were dead wrong. Whether it's he or she, I'm sorry, you were dead wrong. Now, here is why you need to stick up for yourself in this world. And here is why you need to document everything. And here is why you need to be your own advocate at sometimes, because not everybody's going to stand up for your ass. You're going to have to stand up for yourself. I've told that to my kids that I've coached. I've told that to my own kids. Sometimes you got to stand up for you. Stop letting other people worried about those people to step up for you. Stop looking. Stop looking, because sometimes you're going to look around and there ain't going to be nobody there. Nobody's going to be there to help you out. You have to be your own advocate at times. Okay. So I was my own advocate at times, especially at this time right here. So I called this person out, whoever it was. Now, here's the funny part. So let's take this off the screen. Okay. And let's go to what it says now. Now, here's the big reveal, right? What does it say now? So let's share the screen. And again, this is Fighting for Overtime podcast, so make sure you like and subscribe. Okay. Here is what this looks like on Apple. Okay. And again, if you like the show, and you have an iTunes account or an Apple account, if you would go to Fighting for Overtime and leave me a review, I don't care if it's negative, just make sure it's true, okay? Or positive, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So let's go down. Let's look at the reviews. I don't see any softball 2008, do we? Where did softball coach 2008 go? They disappeared. They're gone. They're gone. A day after that episode dropped, they're gone. Now, I will say this. I will say this. Number one, I am going to say this. Thank you. I don't know if you did it willingly, unwillingly, but I'm going to give you a solid and give you the benefit of the doubt to say that you heard what I was saying. You understood maybe you made a mistake because you really didn't listen or you didn't understand. You say, you know what, man, I was wrong. I hope that's the case. I'm going to pretend that that's the case. So I thank you for being an adult and taking that down. I greatly appreciate it. Now, if it was true, I tell you, put it back up, keep it up. Okay. But it was wrong. It was wrong. You know, it was wrong. Okay. And I think you weren't expecting me to have some of the examples of why it was wrong in order for me to come back and take it down. And you did. You took it down. So I appreciate that. So the lesson here is be your own advocate. So I came on here and I was pissed. Okay, it doesn't take much to get me pissed off. I was pissed. I was pissed because somebody, again, didn't take the time to understand what I was trying to do. Right away, they thought this was going to be a one-sided argument. And I told you before, and I'll say it again. When these stories come to me, I'm going to give you my own view of what I think. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. That doesn't mean I'm siding with somebody. I'm giving you my viewpoint. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. At the end of the day, whatever my view is, doesn't matter if I'm not involved in the situation. So why do you get so butthurt about it? I have no idea. Okay, I don't know, but this is the problem. This is sometimes the psyche of today's individual. Okay, and I still will offer you the olive branch, whoever you are. Softball coach 2008. If you want to come on this program, if you want to send me an anonymous email, I'm going to put it again in here. Fighting for overtime at gmail.com. Okay. Very, very simple. Fighting, and I'm going to put it right up on the screen. It's in the comments right now. Okay. Fighting for overtime at gmail.com. I'm readily available. I had 3 stories right now in my inbox getting ready to hit in the next 3 weeks. 3 stories. I'll make it 8. I'll make it 9. I'll make it 10. I also have some fantastic interviews scheduled coming up, which I can't wait to bring them as well. From kids battling back through injury, right? And here's what I will say, and I'm going to say this because I'm proud of this. Okay, I'm extremely proud of this. The funniest part of all these episodes that I do that are self-reflective, not the ones I have guests on, not the ones where I have kids on, but the ones that are self-reflective. The best part about it is it's such a small, minute, a small amount of people, okay, that basically did unjust things to me and my family and my kids, which is fine. Karma's Karma's a mother, man. Karma's a mother. They're very simple. Karma comes back. I believe in it 9 times out of 10. Whatever that statement is, I don't know. I'm getting old, so I forget some things here and there. But my whole thing is karma is something that, in my opinion, it's very believable. It all comes back around. I'm not that, I hope. No, I just say, you know what? Karma will come back. Karma will come back around. So the funny thing is, and I say this because I love to say, because it makes me feel good. Talking to a dear friend of mine over the weekend. And the funny thing is, this person said to me, and it made me think, and he's so goddamn right. Like you couldn't script it even more. Okay. Now, I have kids right now that I coached that play right now on one of the teams over Williamstown. Not gonna, I'm just saying. So I was when the stuff happened to me a couple years ago. Nobody came to talk to me. Everybody knew my stance, and I will do an entire episode about it. Everybody knew my stance. I had people sending me numerous messages. I had phone calls, but from the people involved, I had zero. They hid. They all went in hiding. You know what they did? They blocked me on Facebook. They blocked me out of the William Tennant soccer group. They blocked me on pages. So I couldn't see the kids I coached. I couldn't see their updates. They blocked me. Like how childish are? What are we, two? Okay, this is the individuals that you deal with. Okay. So because they blocked me, and then unfortunately, certain people went to social media as adults and put some cryptic messages out there. Okay. And those messages were screenshotted to me, because that's the funny thing. Everybody thinks everybody hates me. That's the funny thing. I'm actually a pretty likable guy. And the hilarious part is, people actually, I know people when people don't know I know people. And certain people sent me some interesting messages that were posted, and then all of a sudden we're taken down. It is what it is. But the funny thing was, the sad part was, during that time when that stuff was happening, okay, the people I expected, and this is the forward thinking, right? The people that I expected to be the supportive people, they were non-existent. So when those people were non-existent, that shows you really who your true people are. And that also shows you who has the respect, and who has, you know, the heart to actually stand up and tell you what they believe in. Right. So the best part about this is, I still have kids in all different schools and that are playing right now, because again, remember, the age group combined at one time was 07, 08, and and then it went 05, no, it was, at one time it wasn't combined, and then it went back to age pure, right? So a few of my kids got screwed at that time, because they had to go age pure. And the higher percentage of my team was 2007 at that time. So unfortunately, I had to go with the 2007. It sucked. I cried. I was upset. But the cool part was, I still kept the contact, still keep in contact today. I enjoy watching. I enjoy watching people, watching these kids grow up and go to school and get awards and achievements. It brings tears in my eyes at times, and I love every minute of it. And the best part was, the kind of bring this back full circle before we get out of here, was my buddy said to me, "Listen, man, don't worry about what those," and I don't worry about what people say. And he said, "The funny part is, people actually think nobody likes you." Right? He's like, "The people that don't know you are the ones that think nobody likes you, and they have no idea." Right? When they would hear me yelling and being really hard and stern, like, man, I would hate to play for that coach. I would hate to play for that coach. But the funny thing is, 5 or 6 years later, the messages that I get from the kids themselves would beg to differ, right? Would beg to differ, which is cool. It makes me feel good. I don't need to go into it. It just shows you, okay, how disconnected some of these people are, and they don't live in reality, right? They don't live in reality. So, in closing, this update on softball coach 2008, they have disappeared. And I only wanted to update this because if I bring it up, I at least want to keep, because I do have an audience, and I do have people that contact me. I do have people that check in. I have a lot of people that are very interested in things, right? That I'm saying, like, hey, I had a couple people ask me, hey, can you tell me about the William Town softball program? They asked me. I mean, look, I told what I felt, right? The people that were there that I had all my issues with are no longer there now, right? I don't really know, but and I gave a very honest assessment on the person that is over there at the current time. Very honest, and I would say that to that person. And I don't tell people anything I wouldn't say to the other people. I'm a pretty straight up guy. Okay. So, and I think that's why people do like to hear my opinion because I don't sugarcoat it and I don't hide behind it. Right? And I was never perfect. I wasn't the perfect coach. I wasn't the perfect parent. Right? When I was bringing, like, I made mistakes, or I did a whole episode about regrets, decisions that I regret. Like, I am a like that's what I told when it comes to youth sports and my experiences. I lay it all out there, man. This is the way I was built. This is the way I was brought up, and this is the way I continue to be. And I think it speaks to a certain audience because people can understand and say, yeah, man, like I can relate to this story. I can relate to this person. I can relate to this group or this team or these players because this kind of thing happened to me, right? This kind of thing happened to me. So in closing, the best part about this is, and I said this to the person I talked to over the weekend. I may be dreaming, and I know it's a big goal. It's a big lofty goal. But this email or this podcast review came from a specific situation that's going on right now in the township of Southampton. Oh, okay, in this inter county or whatever you want to call it league. And the unfortunate part is the girls, whether it's adults, whether it's coaches, I don't care who it is, the girls are getting screwed. Very simple. Egos need to check themselves at the door, and everybody needs to do what's the best benefit and the best direction for the girls. And my hope, and it's a lofty hope and a lofty goal. And I said this person I had a conversation with. I said, my hope is that maybe shedding a light or sharing a light on this, right? Sharing a light on these stories. Maybe sharing these lights will help these people think about it and be like, you know what? Let's revert and let's go back to this. Let's figure how could listen. We could take our egos here. We could take our power trips here. We could take our opinions here when talk about coaches, adults, board members, whatever it is. And how do we just get these girls back on the field? How do we get them back on the field? What needs to happen? Right? We need to work through everything else. And I again, I'm maybe I'm dreaming, but I would hope because there's been such messaging and so many different stories that have come out of this. It just makes you think, man, this has been a lot this has been a long time coming. And there's been a lot of underlying stories that have been happening that led up to this point. I don't know what they are. I've had people in different townships say they don't even really know the real story. They don't know what's going on. They just know that their kid's not playing, right? They just know that their kids may not have somewhere to play. And at the in the end of the day, that sucks. My man Rick checking in says, "Keep being you, Tony. That's why we listen to you, my man. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it." Adam, what's up, Adam? I appreciate it, man. Like and I do. I appreciate and not everybody's going to come on here, and not everybody's going to send the messages and not. But I truly am thankful for everybody that had supported me when I went through hell, right? When I went through when my name was ripped through the mud, when I was being targeted for no damn reason, right? My name was getting dripped all over. But the funny thing is, at the end of the day, I built something I'm so extremely proud of. Kids today that I can still talk to and have a relationship for. Okay. How many people can have, how many coaches can have an 85 to 90% retention rate over the course of 8 to 10 years? How many can say that? Not many. Well, guess what? I can say it. I can say it. Okay. And I'm damn proud of that. So I must have been doing something right. I must have been doing something right. Okay. So because I must have been doing something right to continue to keep those kids coming back year in and year out. Okay. And for once, I can tell you right now, a lot of times out of that 15 to 10% that left, I can tell you right now, at least half of them was because either they want to play another sport, okay, or they just weren't they didn't want to play anymore. Whether that be softball, whether it be soccer, okay, it didn't matter. So I will consistently hang my hat onto that. because it really brings your coaching career full circle. It really does. But again, softball coach 2008 has disappeared, and I don't know who you are, but I want to extend my hand of thanks and say I appreciate you really looking deep into what you wrote and listening. You had to listen. You had to listen to me going off because I was pissed. Okay. You had to listen to me going off about it, which I really appreciate because I think maybe sometimes, listen, I'm not going to hold it against you, man. And, you know, whoever it is, man, woman, doesn't matter. If you would like to come on, like I said, by all means, fighting for overtime at gmail.com. Let me know. You know, we could do it over the phone. We could, it doesn't have to be a picture, right? It doesn't have to be live on the screen. This could be a podcast, just an audio version. I've like, and again, if you don't, it's fine. It's not a problem, right? At the end of the day, I am trying to be an advocate for the kids in this area and everywhere else that don't have them right now. See, I don't coach anymore. So this is my way of being coach again. I'm hoping that I can insert myself into situations to where people can think, God damn, you know what? You know what? Yeah, I better look out for that. Or what do I need here? What do I need there? How do I deal with this situation? Right. And listen, like again, I'm just going to give you my honest take on anything you ask. But please know this is a no judgment zone, meaning that email address, use it. You want to tell your story, you want to vent, you want to complain, it's okay. Like again, I'm not that person, okay, that's going to go to the softball coach or the soccer coach, the lacrosse or whatever the hell it is. Okay, but like, hey, guess what this person said? Number one, like I told you, um, a lot of these Facebook groups, they probably block me. They still block me by now because they don't like the truth. And number two, I have no more skin in the game. I'm not here for that. Right. I'm just trying to raise awareness of what's going on in the local and the national communities. And I got a lot of great people behind me. I got a lot of great support. And I also have a lot of great guests that are willing to share their stories as well. I want to give a personal thanks to my last guest, which was Heidi Smith for Play On. Again, 140 years of women's sports. She talked about a lot of great things. I want to thank my future guests, who I don't want to name right now, that are coming up. And I also want to make sure that you're following the Fighting for Overtime podcast. You can scan that QR code on the screen. It'll take you right to the link tree. And again, my man, Tony, what's up? Positive Works checking in. Positive Works checking in. Oh, this is see my man, see you checking in. See ya, I appreciate it, man. Always checking in. New branding, Positive Works. There's a man full of positivity that I'm sure he's going to be dealing with youth sports stories as they come on. My man says Southampton girls softball practice starts this week. They have a wonderful amount of enrollment. That's great to hear. See, that's great to hear, man. Like because hearing they have a wonderful amount of enrollment, that's a big deal. Like, get these kids out there, get these kids somewhere to play. Okay. Get these kids somewhere to play. No matter what the situation is, let's find a way to get these kids to play. Okay. Let's get these kids to play. That's the most important thing. Again, you have to be your own kid's advocate. And maybe you have to get creative on how you do it. Maybe and again, it sucks that you have to be fearful in order to do it because you're afraid of the fallout. I've been there. I understand. I dealt with it. I probably made some really bad decisions and probably said some things I'm very regretful about. And I would still do it, but I would approach it a different way. And again, because this is what happens when you're dealing with your child, whether it be your son or your daughter. And again, when you're dealing with your kids, and I say the kids, meaning every kid I coach is one of my kids, and they'll forever be a part of my family. I love that. It's a great way to really cap off your coaching career. Listen, again, I am very remorseful for certain things, but I would definitely do the same thing. I would just do it differently. And I want everybody to be able to do that as well. Remember, be your kid's advocate because nobody else is being it. So again, everybody, softball coach 2008, the invitation is there. And again, the olive branch of the handshake is there. I appreciate it. I thank you for taking that review down because we both know that it was false. It wasn't true. And I appreciate it. Now, if you would like to put something up as a rebuttal, I have no problem with that. But as always, I answer emails, I answer messages, and I give everybody an open floor. Again, this is Fighting for Overtime. Make sure you're following the podcast, Fighting for Overtime. It's everywhere, whether it be Apple, Spotify, iHeart. You could go to YouTube and just watch the audio version on YouTube if you want by just hitting play. It's everywhere. You can scan that QR code. It'll take you right to the link tree, which has everything that on there, has the email on there. It has all the platforms all there. TikTok, Instagram, you name it, everywhere we're at right there. Really excited of what's ahead, a specific partnership, certain things um, that are really, really starting to build momentum. So again, I want to thank everybody for that. So as always, everybody have a fantastic evening. Coach Softball 2008, I appreciate it. Everybody checking in. See ya, Rick, Adam, JD, everybody checking in. Always appreciative. Again, if you have a story, if you have something you want to share, fighting for overtime at gmail.com. Keep it locked because coming up soon, I have 3 episodes from this Southampton softball story that I want to share that came out with it. And again, I have some great guests coming up as well. Everybody have a fantastic evening. And as always, keep fighting the fight.